Hey guys, this video is on bankruptcies. So in a bankruptcy case, you go before a judge and tell them that you basically can't pay off your debts, and the judge will come up with a plan to help you pay off your debts. During a bankruptcy case, your creditors cannot collect on your debt anymore, so it kind of puts that on hold. There are 6 different types of bankruptcies or chapters, and the chapter just refers to what part of the US Bankruptcy Code that law is actually found. So the different types of bankruptcies are Chapter 7, 9, 11, 12, 13, and 15. And the 2 most common chapters for individuals are Chapter 7 and Chapter 13 bankruptcies. So those are the 2 that I'm going to talk about a little bit in this video. In a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, it's basically liquidation. So the judge is going to, or the court is going to appoint an attorney to oversee the sale of your assets in order to pay your creditors. So anything of yours that has value that is not a basic necessity is going to have to be sold to pay off your debts. So you can usually keep your house and your car and your retirement funds, but basically everything else is fair game. And then any unsecured debts that are not able to be paid off by selling your assets are usually then erased. So the judge usually does a means test to make sure that you, in fact, do not make enough money to pay off your debts yourself. Chapter 7 bankruptcy stays on your credit report for 10 years, and you can't file again for at least 8 years. So they do that so that you're not trying to take advantage of the system and always trying to erase your debts. So Chapter 13 bankruptcy is more so just a reorganization of your debts. So the judge is going to hear about all of your spending habits and come up with probably a very strict budget so that you have a monthly payment plan in order to pay back your debts over the course of usually 3 to 5 years. So with a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, the whole case will take about 3 to 5 years to be complete since you have to pay off those debts. Whereas with a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, they usually take about 4 to 6 months to be complete because you usually sell some stuff and pay it off, and then the rest is erased. A Chapter 13 bankruptcy stays on your record for 7 years instead of 10 years, but once again, there is a couple years that you have to wait before you can file again. With Chapter 13, you have to wait 2 years before you can file again. So if you file for bankruptcy, it's going to affect your ability to buy real estate. If you file Chapter 7 bankruptcy, you have to wait at least 4 years from discharge of the case to be able to get a conventional loan to buy a house. And then a couple years less than that if you're going to do government financing. And same with Chapter 13, you have to wait until it is discharged or dismissed to be able to get a loan for a house. So the goal of the goal of bankruptcy is to erase your debt, but the end goal of the case is to have the case discharged. Once the case is discharged, that means that your debts are erased, you don't owe on them anymore, and creditors can't come after you for that debt anymore. But there is an alternative possibility of your case being dismissed. And if your case is dismissed, it means that the case is closed before it's actually completed and you still owe those debts, and the creditors can resume collections on those debts. A case could be dismissed if the court thinks that you are trying to commit fraud, if you transfer real property over to somebody else right before filing, if you lie about income or anything like that. So it's not good if the case is dismissed because then you're kind of back to square one where you still owe all of this debt. So there is a basic rundown of bankruptcy. If possible, you should try to just give yourself a strict budget on your own. Maybe find some help with that, because that's basically what the court is going to do for you anyway. They're going to put you on a strict budget to repay your debts or make you sell things to be able to pay down your debts, which is something that you can do on your own. Obviously, you're kind of in this situation anyway because you haven't done that yet. But if possible, try to really restrict your spending and come up with a strict budget to pay down your debts, sell some things that you don't need. Every little bit counts and adds up, because then you're not having the court do it for you and having that bankruptcy on your credit report affecting your future finances. So that's kind of just a rundown of bankruptcy. There's a lot more details. A lot of times it's case by case and things can change, so it's not super strict and set on how it's going to go. It just depends on your own personal case. But if possible, try to avoid it and come up with a strict budget to pay off your debts yourself.